This is Elica Lebon, Iranian activist and now Zionist. Now, if you don't know Elica Lebon, I definitely advise you to check her out. Prior to October 7th, she was pro-Palestinian. Here are some of her tweets that she posted in 2014, 2015, supporting Palestine. Post-October 7th, she became buddies with Zionists such as Deborah Messing, Noah Tishby, and all of a sudden, her profile elevated. Now she has a book deal. She's on shows like Dr. Phil, Piers Morgan, The Cuomo Show, and she's just spewing Zionism after Zionism propaganda. I want to share you a clip from our latest interview on The Cuomo Show.
And we see protests here, we see pushback here that is usually dismissed as suffrage, as identifying with the oppressed. Now, we should
Watch how she
about
never
the
mentions Palestine.
So I think there's a few levels to look at this from.
And she lumps all Jews as Israelis and all Israelis as Jews.
Is, as you mentioned, the whole oppressor class. Now, the problem with this oppressor class ideology is that it's very reductivist. And the reason that it's reductivist is because it's very rooted in American centrism. So Americans understand the history of America in those terms, right? They understand not only the history of oppression in America, but they understand the concept of an oppressor class. Mm-hmm. Now, an oppressor class is different to just an oppressive regime, like you have in Iran, right? So the concept of an oppressor
verbal
class
diarrhea
leads to this understanding that there's an entire race of people that are culpable, which indeed was the case back in Jim Crow era. If you think about Nazi Germany, South African apartheid, you did have classes that were participating in this oppressed dynamic. The problem is when you go to the Middle East and you try to look at the Middle East through this Western construct of imputing
again Middle East, not Palestine, Middle East, lumps everyone as one
in places where it doesn't belong. And in actual fact, you do have the oppressor class, but it's not the Jews, right? The Jews are the oppressed.
No mention of Israel.
Through this ideology that all Jews are oppressors as a class, as a race, then what you do is you get the emotional charge behind these historic liberation movements, and you apply them to Jews as a class. And so that's why you're able to galvanize all of these people that historically have stood for,
Look at Cuomo, he's so confused. Like, what is she talking about?
Well, if we want to liberate ourselves, we have to liberate ourselves from the Jews, who are this oppressor class, even though historically that's never happened in all of time. Not only has it never happened, but they've been under the boot of oppression for 2,000 years, and in the Middle East, in fact, themselves served under the system of dhimmitude, right? And so if we're really going to stand with anyone, we're standing with the Jewish people in the Middle East against supremacy, against oppression. But because of this Eurocentric, American-centric view of it, they've got it completely upside down.
And that's
Look at that.
Cheers.
The same person that interviewed her. And now look who shows up. Look who shows up.
I'm winning.
Do it. Push. You got him. I can feel him cheating.
Watch. Look who shows up.
Keep going. I'm giving you myself.
It's Brooke Shields.